Thank you so much for taking this opportunity to be on the show today. I am so glad that you're here. We have a great program for you as always, and we'll get right into that after our Connect moment. Hello, this is Henry Harris. This is Connect Moment. This is where us as a community can engage and connect with each other in this moment, in this second. So I want you to do me a favor. There are three things I want you to do as you watch today's program. Number one, I want you to let us know where you're watching from. It could be Chicago, Dallas, Africa, wherever you're watching from, let us know. Another way you can engage and help us is by sharing this program on your social media. It could be Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you want to share this at, make sure you share it. I think on Facebook they have hearts, likes, angry faces. I need you to hit those because that lets me know and indicates to me that you're watching. So make sure you do that as well. And number three, as you're watching today's show, would you do me a favor and comment as you're watching the show today? We could be talking about mental health, sexuality, whatever we're talking about. I want to hear your voice as well because your voice is just as important as my voice is. And I think that's what community is all about. It's not just about one person. It's about all of us getting together collectively to learn and feed off of each other. So thank you so much. Back to today's program. Well, welcome back. Have you ever asked yourself this question? Why don't marriages work anymore or nowadays? It's a question that I have been pondering here lately. And it's a question that I think is worth a discussion, don't you? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Why don't marriages work anymore? And before we even get started, since this is a question, maybe you should put in the comment section why you think marriages don't work anymore nowadays. Now, I'm not saying they don't work at all. Some people have been married for a numerous amount of years, and for one reason or another, maybe something didn't work out. It could be a variety of reasons why a person's marriage didn't work out, and I think that's personal. I'm a product of 2 divorces myself, so I'm definitely not passing judgment at all. So we all got our reasons why our relationship didn't work or our marriage didn't work. But I think it's good to address this subject tonight and to talk about why marriages don't work anymore. And we all have had conversations with someone or heard someone say, I've been married for 40 years. I've been married for 50 years. I've been married for a numerous amount of years. And while you may celebrate them and while you may express your happiness towards them because of the success of their marriage, at the same time, does it leave you like scratching your head, wondering how in the world did they pull that off? 30 years, even 15 years, 20 years. How did they do it? How did they make it work? Is there a certain magic pill that God gives us from heaven that actually make it work? So some of us are so inspired by what they had accomplished. We even look up to these people sometimes as role models, don't you? Like, wow, if I get married, I wish I could stay married for 10 years or 15 years or 30, 40, 50 years for some people. We look up to these people. To only have a long marriage like that would be so beneficial to me and my partner. Or some of us will even say, or if I ever got married, that's the kind of marriage that I want. Are those some of your inspirations today when you end up talking to people that way? So we need to ask ourselves this question. Why don't marriages last anymore? And I'm not saying that in today's society, marriages don't last. So I'm not saying that. They do. But it seems like marriages in the past, back in grandma and them days, It seemed like their marriages lasted a whole lot longer, and it leaves me wondering, even when I have conversations with people who've had these long marriages, it leaves me wondering, like, what did they do? How did they make it work? Marriages don't work for a variety of reasons. I'm gonna write a few of them on the board. Number one, some people marry for unrealistic expectations. So some people marry for unrealistic expectations. And you know, at the end of the day, that's not good. If you're going to get married, you need to be real about it. Be real about your expectations with yourself. Be real with yourself first, and be real with your partner. If that's a journey that you feel like you're about to embark upon, don't go into marriage with this TV ideal of marriage or this fairy tale ideal of marriage, that it's going to be all glamorous and perfect, and we start to seek validation from people. I'm so happy for you. Those things are great, but the real work starts after you say, I do. It's not really about what grandma thinks or what mom thinks, and we validate and we respect and we appreciate how people feel about it, but at the same time, I want my marriage to be realistic, not only with myself, but with the person that I'm with. So sometimes people go into marriage with these ideas that everything's gonna be perfect, there ain't gonna be no problems, we're not gonna have a crisis. You're being unrealistic. And as a result, that can cause a lot of problems. Number two, some people marry for the wrong reasons. What would it look like to be unique? What would it look like to actually make a decision that is not filtered through what everybody else thinks or what everybody else feels? I feel like y'all should get married, and you do it. Guess what? You did it for the wrong reason. Maybe you have religious convictions and you feel like, well, I need to get married because I want to make sure the church is happy with me. That's the only reason why you're getting married. You're getting married for the wrong reason. And there are multiple reasons why people marry for the wrong reasons. It could be money. It could be job security. Hopefully, if you do end up marrying, I feel like ultimately you should marry upon the premises of love. That we don't just marry someone because of what we can get out of them, or job security, or whatever the case may be. We should not connect with someone in that manner. So there are a lot of reasons, wrong reasons why people marry, and I think that needs to be addressed. Number two, it could be maybe here you go. So the other one was wrong reason. Here go another one. Another wrong reasons why a lot of people, it could be you simply married the wrong person. Now look at this. Don't beat yourself up. I just said I'm a product of two divorces. I had my daughter from my first marriage, and one thing about me, I would never dehumanize or demonize my ex-wives. I had my share of issues, they had theirs, and I'm moving to something much more meaningful, brightful, and beautiful. And that's what we all should do. There's still a healing process along with that. But at the same time, can you admit that sometimes marriages don't work today because maybe you just ended up with the wrong person? You got caught up in the hype of marriage. And that could happen too. Sometimes we end up with the wrong people, and sometimes that's evident. And I'm not saying couples don't have problems, but sometimes it's evident with the chemistry you may have with that person. Maybe y'all just don't get along. Can you imagine marrying somebody you just can't get along with? Always arguing, always both of you being contemptuous with each other, a lot of tension and strife. I mean, who wants to live that? Some of us live our lives that way when we were single. So why would we go into another world of marriage, bringing that into that? So you want to bring somebody into your marriage that's the right person. When I say right, I'm not saying based off of perfection, because we know we're not perfect, but they're perfect for you. So it ain't like you're looking at them saying, I'm praying. I heard people say this all the time, I'm praying for the right person. And I'm thinking in my head, what do you mean by the right person? I think in essence what you're trying to say, I'm praying for somebody that's right for me. I know she's not perfect, but she's perfect for me. I know he's not perfect, but he's perfect for me. Make sure it's the right person. The next one, number 4, is, and a lot of people go through this, is unfaithful. Sometimes people end up, marriages don't work out because there was some infidelity going on in that relationship. Maybe he cheated, maybe she cheated. And can I be honest, sometimes when you go through things like that, it's hard to process. And second of all, it's hard to trust that person again. Trust, in my opinion, is not earned. Trust is a gift. And when somebody violates that, you can either extend that gift back to them. All right, you cheated on me. I'm gonna extend this gift back to you, only for them to do it again, by the way. Or you can say, no, I'm protecting myself by getting this divorce. I'm moving on with my life, because if I'm not that good enough for you, where you have to step outside of our covenant of marriage or any relationship in general, where you feel like you have to cheat on me or treat me some kind of way, that's just not good. And to those who hold to those views that trust is earned, and you decide to stay with someone who's unfaithful, when do you, I'm trying to see how to word it, when do you finally get to that point in your life where you're like, all right, I fully trust you now, watch this, without you thinking in the back of your head, what if he does it again? Here go the $1 million question. Do you really trust him? Do you really trust her? So I can understand why, and some people stay with people who have cheated on them multiple times, with him making countless claims that, oh, I'll never do it again. He'll cry and slobber and turn flips and such and such, just to show and express, oh, I'm so sorry. But the reality of it is, if he done it once, there's a great possibility he'll do it again. So save yourself the heartache. There's somebody out there that won't cheat on you, that won't be unfaithful. But these are just some common reasons why people cheat. Oh, common reasons why people don't stay married. Another one is you found out that marriage, you found out after marriage that they were not the same person they were before you got married. I was telling my fiance this not too long ago. Actually, when we first started talking, I said, I'm just letting you know, because we were out eating, and then she looked at my daughter. She says, is your dad always like this? And she's speaking of terms of how nice I am and how I carry myself. And she says, yeah, that's what he's like. And that is so connected to this one right here. That if you're gonna, sometimes people, they are perfect at wearing a mask. You know why? Because some people will only allow you to see what they want you to see. And that goes for me, it goes for anyone. And this don't even have to be just in the context of marriage. It can be any type of friendship, relationship, the church. How many people wear a mask in the church? I'm holy, I'm this, I'm that. Then they walk out and they're treating people unfairly, treating people wrong. So we all do that. And I understand that we're not perfect, but it gives me such a relief when I embark upon that journey of marriage that the person I'm engaged to or want to be with or spend my life with, that it's the same person she'll be or he'll be after marriage. And you know, there's some stereotypes that a lot of people have about that once you get married, things go downhill. Once you get married, things change. Once you get married, you know, and when you hear that, it actually discourages people not to marry, but it doesn't discourage me not to do that. So that's something that you need to know. Another one is poor communication. That's another reason why a lot of people get divorced. It's just hard to connect the dots. Like when you say something, they're taking it wrong, or they perceive something wrong in a way that you didn't mean it. And then when you try to talk, maybe you get a certain reaction out of them, or etc. When you can sit down and just have a mutual dialogue and conversation, and ultimately just saying, you know what, I was wrong. And you know what confession means? Confession means I tell the truth. And telling the truth does not mean pointing at the victim. Now, if you hadn't done this, I wouldn't have, you get where I'm going. I tell the truth, meaning like, this is what I said, this is why I reacted that way, and I won't do it again. That's what telling the truth is. So sometimes it's just a matter of just poor communication. Some people are just horrible at poor communication. A lot of times people marriages don't work out because of addictions. Drugs, pornography. I think cheating can probably be an addiction too if you can't stop it. You know, a variety of things, addiction, these strong addictions that people have, and they still stay with that person with the mindset that it's going to work out, it's going to be okay, they're going to get over it. But they really won't until they go get some type of help from a therapist. You have to, I wrote a book in 2022 called Facing Our Wounds. You have to face yourself. You have to say to yourself, I got a problem. It's one thing for your partner to point it out, but it's another thing to say, you know what, she was right, I got a problem. Or he was right, this is something I need to fix internally inside of me. We understand that marriage and relationships in itself won't help that. Sometimes even when you get married, sometimes you still have to do that self-care, you know, and self-analyze and self-help. You know, look within your own heart and say, what can I do not only to make my marriage better and those that are around me, but what can I do to make myself better? There are all type of programs. Alcohol, that's another one a lot of people are addicted to. So a lot of times marriages don't work because of that. Another one is different priorities. A lot of people do have different priorities as it comes to relationship. You know, different priorities is not always a bad thing, but I think as long as those priorities are communicated with, and I can go on and on, financial burden, abuse, toxic spouse, having a hard time forgiving each other. There are so many I can go on and do, but I just wanted to list those right there. So it's these among many other reasons why marriages today don't last. And I am, as I've said, I am a product of 2 divorces. So this message resonates with me more than it does with you. But let's be honest, no one marries with the intention to go into a failed marriage. Most people that marry that I know, they go into it for the long haul. They're like, I'm marrying you for the long haul. And I was thinking about this too. A lot of people back in the day that got married, from what I was told, correct me if I'm wrong, they didn't even mention divorce. Divorce wasn't even an option, no matter what happened. So that's another reason why a lot of marriages, because today, she said this to me, she hurt my feelings, and then you want to go right to the court and get divorced. It's like, that didn't happen back then. So that's another thing I wanted to say. So those who marry with the right intent do it with the intentions of forever. They take their vows seriously. And I think to those who are getting married should do that as well. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Will you agree that marriages today, compared to the past, are different? I think they are. There was think about it, there was no TikTok, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, there was no social media around the time many people married years ago. People actually sat at the table. People actually talked through their struggles and talked through their problems and the things that maybe they were a little indifferent and disagreed about, but they worked through that. They talked things out. Wives typically stayed at home while the husband, and I'm not saying this, I don't think this happens much today, but wives pretty much stayed at home while the husbands work and provide. And I don't see that always as a bad thing. It's a mutual decision between that couple, but this was very prevalent back in the day where wives stayed at home, worked, cooked, cleaned, the husband went out, and who was known pretty much as a provider. And I'm not suggesting by any means that we need to go back to this. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I know based off of my conversation I've had, this was part of many successful marriages. They didn't talk about divorce. They didn't even mention the word divorce, as I just said. Divorce was taboo. Here is another one. They were not quick to give up on each other. And that is so true. You accept each other's imperfections with the intent of, I'm never giving up on this person. Do we really see much of that today? May I also add that getting married is all about perspective too. And sometimes when you go into it with the wrong ideas, or you've decided that love doesn't last and that you're hunting around for examples that confirm what you already believe, it's the human thing to do sometimes. You see more relationships. You see a relationship more in the essence of a breakup, and you pay more attention to couples who divorce because those are examples that fit your, here you go, confirmation bias. And some people will frame their whole relationship based off of the past. And I'm guilty of that. Well, they hurt me, they did this, they did that. So because that happens, when we see other people divorcing and stuff and other marriages failing, we're like, well, why even do it? Because it's not working out for everybody else. That's something called a confirmation bias, where you don't really make a decision based off of you and your spouse, but now it's become, well, your whole ideal of marriage, remember what I just said, is all about perspective. Your whole ideal of marriage is based off of everybody else's marriages, and things are falling around you. Other examples are couples who stay together, or marriages that don't end in divorce. You pay little attention to no attention to what everybody else is doing, and you focus on your marriage yourself. You see perspective. How do you view things? Because how you view things can change everything. They didn't go into marriage with this mindset that people have today. Marriage has been made into a glamorous thing, but we don't realize that after all the glitter and the gold, the true test of marriage happens after all the comments are gone. And as I said earlier, I believe, what would it look like to be unique? What would it look like to do something different? What would it look like to not accept these stereotypes or to be part of something that confirms our confirmation bias? What would it look like to do something different? What would it look like to have a mutual, healthy marriage with the person that you want to be with? Why do we have to accept society norms of what they think a marriage should look like? And that's what a lot of us do. Well, they said that my marriage is going to be crap. Well, guess what? You are what they say. You are what you eat. You are what you speak. That's likely to happen. The words that you say can manifest. Well, I can see myself right now it's going to fail. There's a great possibility that it is. You need to change your mind, change the way you think, change the way you view things, change your perspective. Don't go into any relationship with that mentality. I believe marriages last because there was a willingness to compromise. And today a lot of couples don't compromise. It's either my way or the highway. There's no compromise. And they absolutely work through anything. They'll work through anything. Are you willing to adjust? Are you willing to maneuver? Are you willing to navigate? Are you willing to compromise? Are you willing to make changes? We don't see a lot of this today, don't we? Today's marriages seem more like every man for himself. And these marriages are not formed out of love. They're simply formed out of selfishness. It's time to connect. Make sure you follow me on youtube.com/Henry Harris 100. Also follow me on the Brother Henry and You Show, Facebook.com. I hope you enjoyed this. Once again, tell me, these are just some ideas I'm talking about, but tell me, why do you think marriages don't work nowadays? I mean, I gave a few reasons, but what do you think?